Hey everybody, welcome back to the shop. This is going to be a flea market finds episode with maybe a couple exceptions here and there. So this is going to be stuff that I picked at an outdoor flea market on November 22nd. Got a few odds and ends, different kinds of tools, some machinist tools, and who knows what else. So let's dive right in. We're going to start out with one item that I picked at a antique auction. This was a outdoor, due to the COVID situation, out in a parking lot, mostly household items, but they had advertised a machinist tool chest. So I decided to take a ride out and check it out. And when I got there, the tool chest was pretty beat, and it actually went for more money than I would have paid for it, even if I really liked it, and I didn't even like it. But I did spot this other item, and I think I got a pretty good deal on it. So let's take a look at that right now. So I go to this antique auction, and there's like nothing there that I'm interested in. I went there for this box, this machinist toolbox, and it ended up not being like a Gerstner or anything even close to that. It was one of those really old-timey style ones that doesn't even have a lid on the top that opens. It just has drawers that slide out. Had really old pulls on it. It was in kind of rough shape, dirty. You know, had a very vintage look to it, which I guess some people like. And they repurpose them for other stuff, and that's why the guy who bid on it ended up paying, I forgot how much he ended up paying even, but you know, I never even had to raise my card for that one. But I was glad that I went because it wasn't a total loss. I'm going down the tables there, and I'm not seeing any tools or anything that interests me, and then all of a sudden I spot this big case. I'm like, whoa, nice case. It's 23 inches long, really nicely marked, clearly that it's a Starrett. See how pretty that is? The nice work on the beadboard or box joinery, whatever they call that, right? But unfortunately, it was kind of a letdown. In fact, I said this wasn't a total loss, but that's only because I had driven all the way out there and I was going to go away with nothing if I didn't buy this. But if this was like the only thing advertised, I wouldn't have driven out there for this thing. Because it's an 18-inch vernier height gauge. It's a P454-18. I do like the fact that all the labels are still in there. That's kind of cool. Lots of times you see these and the labels are long gone. So it's in pretty good shape. You know, a lot of what you see over here, the staining is actually just oil or dirt on it. I think it's going to clean up just fine. The black lacquer, the like Japanning, and the inlay area here is all intact. It's not missing or rubbed off or in horrific shape. This was well cared for. The bottom, where the rubber hits the road, that has to be in contact with the surface plate, is a polished mirror finish. Beautiful. In the box, we've got the clamp, which often goes missing, and two scribers. That one is a carbide tipped one. Actually, so is that one. I just noticed there's even a label in here that says that the case is made of genuine mahogany. So, pretty nice. The fact that it's in its original nice case and everything certainly helps. I don't know what accessories are missing from here, or if there were anything. If there was anything, I don't know. But anyways, so I got this for $45, I think was the high bid, and it was me. On top of that, I had to pay either a 15 or a 20% buyer's premium, which is ridiculous, but it's what they get these days. So, at least in this area. So that's like another $9 on top of that, and then with the tax, I'm probably into this thing for about $60. And I don't want to ship it because it's just going to be a pain in the butt to ship, which means I got to try and find a local buyer to pay me cash for it. So, I don't know. This might be one I might end up having to just die with. We'll see. This first item I got for $10. When I went by and I saw it, I knew what it was right away, and I was like, oh, well, geez, I just sold a couple of those a little while back. I know they're heavy as heck, And I forgot what the guy was asking originally for, like 25 bucks. So when I went by later and I was on my way out, and he still had it, I said, hey, you want to take 10 bucks for that? And he said, yeah. It's another one of these big clipper belt lacers. Got a little bit more rust on it than the other ones I had. But it looks like it's complete except for the handles. Really all you need for the handles is a couple of metal rods that fit in here. You know, I don't know. I'm gonna advertise this locally. Sell it, hopefully, for a quick, cheap profit. And if I don't get any action on it, then I'll find some metal and I'll make a couple of handles for it. The guy had these sitting on his table, and it'd been sitting there all morning, and when I went back by, I decided, well, just for the heck of it, I'm going to ask. So these are banding tools. These are for attaching the metal strapping that they use to band like lumber and stuff like that together. Lots of times you see lumber gets delivered at the lumber yard, and they'll use metal banding. And so this device right here, it's just missing a handle that goes on here, you know, a knob. But what this is a tool for actually stretching the two bands together. So you actually feed the two bands underneath this foot right here, and there's actually a wheel, the ratchet mechanism. So what'll happen is this will pull the band and tighten it. And then once it's tight, they use these metal clips that go around the band, and the clip has to be crimped. And that's what this tool right here does. This is the crimper. Some of these are really expensive new. I don't know about these here. This seems like it's just stamped steel construction, and it's really heavy duty. This might be a little earlier because it seems a little bit heftier. This is cast iron by the looks of it. And this is 5x76. I don't know what that means. The guy only, he wanted $5. I thought he wanted $5 a piece for him, and maybe he did start out that way, but when I kind of started to walk away, he said, $5 for the pair. And I said, oh, geez, for that I got to take them, you know. So I don't really have a use for these. Hopefully, maybe one of the guys in my group will want them. This pile of stuff right here was at one dealer that I saw a couple things, picked them up, asked about prices on a couple of things, and then nothing was really grabbing me. But then I figured, well, maybe if I found a few things, pulled them together, I could cut a deal. This is the thing that I found in a box that intrigued me. So I ended up saying, well, what would you take for? I think I told him that I'd do $35 for this pile, and he agreed. So let's start with 3 wrenches. These are all, I think these are all Cleveland, and it's like a set of 3. And these, to me, look like they might have been with a lathe. They look like the kind to lock like carriages and stuff like that on lathes. I thought it was kind of interesting. It's a set of 3. Sorry, these are these 2 are definitely Armstrong. They have A's and a triangle, so they're Armstrong. This one, it's got a diamond logo, and I can't quite make it out. So it's 1/2 inch, 7/16, and 3/8. This is a Mitutoyo micrometer he had there. He might have had another micrometer. This I think I only gave like $1 or $2 for because it's locked up tight. The lock feels like it's off. So this is going to need some love, but what I liked about it was it's satin finish. It's a 1/10 resolution micrometer. It's got carbide faces. And even though it's locked up, it doesn't look like it's all rusted to heck. And then he had this little hand vise. I had actually been looking for one of these. And when I looked online on eBay, they were kind of expensive. This is a little bit smaller one than I was hoping for. These are really handy for holding small pieces at the grinder. You know, if you're freehand grinding something small, this is great for that kind of work. This one's got a little oopsie here where it looks like maybe somebody got a little bit too close to a grinding wheel or something with it. Normally these would have a wing nut right here, a large wing nut to make it easier to adjust. This one's just somebody probably misplaced the wing nut and just put a regular nut on there. But I ended up figuring I got this for like 10. So I was pretty happy with that, considering that they're going for like, 25, 30, I think, depending on the size and the brand on eBay. And then I've had one of these before, but I've never had one in its original case. This is a really early Starrett indicator. This is a, what the heck's the number on it? It's actually on the label right here. This is a Starrett 64A indicator. So this is about as simple as it comes when it comes to indicators. We've got a little tiny spring in there, and this is sticking a little bit, but the idea is the spring would make this want to go back. And of course, this is the contact point, and it's going to mount on it. Then it has, I don't know why, but instead of just one Starrett holder, there's two, which is nice because this is only supposed to have one, so I can take one of these out and sell it separate. Leave one in here with this. So this is the vertical bar, and then off of this bar you get this horizontal bar, and then, well, that's interesting. How is this supposed to mount to this? I mean, would they really just do this? I guess, maybe, right? Huh. I'll have to look up online and see whether or not I can find a picture that shows what exactly came in this, in case there is anything missing. Let's see, which one of these is... Yeah, they're almost identical. It has that nice finish on it that they put on some of this oldest Starrett stuff. It's almost like an acid bluing deal or something that they do to them. I don't know. But I mean, that's definitely the original case. It's got the label still on it, which is kind of cool. Yeah, it's funny. I just found somebody selling one of these new old stock on eBay for like, I don't know, over $100. But what was great was I could clearly see in the photo that it's the same amount of parts that are in here. The two rods, this piece, and the indicator. So this appears to be a complete kit. Now for the weird item. This may, or most likely, this is part of some other jig or something. That this is just part of it. So it's missing the crystal, and by some miracle, this needle has survived. So the indicator that's on here is actually in pretty good shape, and it's a Starrett indicator. But notice what it says: 10-minute graduations. So this is measuring angle. So it seems to be working perfectly fine. There's a lever on the back here that would be hooked to something. But I have absolutely no idea what this is for. So I haven't Googled this yet, but maybe I can figure it out. Well, might not ever find out what this thing is, unfortunately. The number that's on the face here, 901500. If I Google Starrett with that number, nothing comes up. And the only other markings I can find on this is there's a number stamped on the back here, B6B4, and then there's a space, S52828. I tried B6B4 with Starrett, nothing comes up. And this long number, this S52828, that's probably going to be like a serial number or something, so I didn't even bother. And I can't find any other names or anything on this. There's a little tiny sticker right here. This has a number 2 on it. So, I don't know. Has anybody ever seen one of these things and know what the hell it is? If not, I guess it's going to end up just being a paperweight. So the friction thimble on this Mitutoyo actually still turns. Just get this to break free, maybe it'll start to turn. Sometimes it's just from sitting for a long time. I'm going to grab this with something. Got to put something on there to protect it. Grab it. Don't try this at home, kids. Oh, there we go. Turn just a little bit. There we go. I'm gripping this just hard enough to be able to get it to free up, and not any harder. I don't want to run the risk of squashing this tube at all. You can see some rust coloration there. So I screwed this out pretty far so that the end here was below the surface, and then I squirted a little bit of precision lubricant down in there. And the same thing from this was far enough out so there was a gap there. And now I can actually turn it with my fingers, but it's still see, it's kind of tight. See, when I turn the friction lock the other way, it's the friction lock is not able to turn it in. And somebody was already working on this thing, for lack of a better term, because this little nub on the end here is all chewed up with plier marks from somebody gripping it like this without any protection. Also, the first dealer I came across, I bought these four items from him. This is a Brown & Sharp Caliper Case. It's just an empty case, but I know I have a pair of digital Brown & Sharp calipers that I like to use that I don't have a case for, and I didn't have a case for them. I put them in a plastic case, and the case was just kind of generic, so maybe I can put these in here, or I'm sure I'll find a use for this case. Matter of fact, I probably just sold some 6-inch calipers not too long ago that didn't have a case, so I figured that was worth $5 to me anyways. I ended up giving $35 for these 4 items. These 2 tap wrenches. This is a General number 164, but it's in really good shape. The jaws look mint on it. A little bit of surface rust from laying around somewhere. And then there's this one. This is another General tap wrench. I think it says it's a 161R. And what this is this is a ratcheting tap wrench. This is also in excellent shape. So you've got a little lever on the top here, and essentially what you do is when it's in the middle position, it's like a regular tap wrench. But you can flip that lever. Oh, okay, you got to pull up to get it to rotate. And then it becomes a ratcheting tap wrench. And then if you want to reverse direction, just flip it the other way. So that's pretty cool. I think I have one of these already. If I don't, I'm probably going to keep this one. And then this is an Indicaul 178. It's a genuine Indicaul, clearly marked. It is missing just the last piece. So occasionally I come across these missing pieces. This one is fairly complete, considering. So, like I said, if I gave, let's see, I think I gave $35 for this pile. So I figure I'm into this for, I may have actually spent a little bit more than I should have on this now that I'm looking at it, but it'll be alright. Hey, I was sort of right. Thought I had one of these ratcheting general tap wrenches, but look, it's the larger one. So cool beans, so I can keep this one for myself. Alright, now I feel a little better. This next item here I got off of a dealer who, he's got a more permanent setup there in the indoor part of the flea market. And he had quite a few different machinist items there, but a lot of his prices were sky high, basically eBay type of pricing. And so I had to pay $45 to get this. It's just a 98 series Starrett level, 4-inch. The reason why I was willing to give him the $45 that he insisted on getting for this thing was because this thing is like the cleanest one of these I've ever seen. This may even be new old stock. So I think I've already got one of these. So, you know, even if I don't have the 4-inch one of these, I'm probably going to still put it up for sale just because I don't really need a 4-inch level. Hardly ever think of a situation where I need one. And I really, you know, I got 45 tied up into this thing. I want to turn it around. Then from that same dealer, I put together a pile of some stuff and worked with him to finally get him to agree on 65 for what's in this bag. And again, kind of making the margin pretty thin here on this stuff. Some of this stuff I don't even know why I included it. This is a Mitutoyo gauge block. It's a 4-inch. The ends look pretty good, but I mean a lone gauge block. Not even sure what I'm going to be able to get for that. This is a pair of Starrett parallel machinist clamps, and the way I was able to get these was I found one in a box and got them to agree to a decent price on the one. Got some little bit of damage on the threads there, and then found the other one later, basically. But I think if I had found the pair right off the bat, he probably would have wanted more money for me. And this is a Starrett 93B tap wrench. This is something I hadn't seen before. This is a General Model 90. I believe it's a pin vise, but it's a double-headed pin vise, and then it looks like what somebody's got in here is some gauge pins, some really small gauge pins. And then I think they put tape on here and they put tape on here, and they had marked the sizes of the gauge pins in there. But what it really is a double-headed pin vise, I think. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's a double-sided pin vise. It's worth about $10. These items here, at first I only found the one of these smaller ones, and it's clearly marked Starrett, but he had no idea what this was. So after he agreed to sell it to me, then I showed him the secret, that it's in fact a scriber, and that the scribe had been inserted backwards so that for safety, keep it from being damaged and from stabbing somebody. And then later when I was poking around, I ended up finding another one of that size. Its bigger brother. Boy, this one's been in there a long time. There we go. And this genuine Starrett precision screwdriver. And this last item is actually a cheap import. It says India number 60286, and I bought this just for myself. So I didn't think it had a lot of value to it. And it's described as a precision drill press vise. And what it is it's this handle with a couple of jaws, brass, and I guess the idea is you would just hold this on the table of a small drill press. Got a little V-groove in there too to hold small round pieces. That's kind of neat. And again, I'm probably going to just keep that for myself. So yeah, no, not going to make a boatload on that stuff right there. Hey, before I move on to the next items, just want to go back to this. I took the tape off of here, and this Model 90 General Hardware pin vise, double-headed pin vise, is even cooler than I thought, because it turns out the collets inside are double-sided collets. So you've got a different size on each end of that collet, and the two sizes on that collet are different than the two sizes on this collet. So effectively what you have is, in this one little handy tool, it's like having 4 pin vices in one. So instead of having a set of pin vices, you can have them all here, right at your fingertips. And the 2 pin gauges that were in here that I took out made me think about it, and I realized, that's actually kind of handy. You could put your go pin size on one side and your no-go on the other side, and just flip it over and have a go, no-go gauge. Then I came across this little V-block just sitting there at a dealer's table. He didn't really have many machinist tools, and I picked it up, and I recognized from the strange shape of it and everything that this was a Starrett, and it actually is clearly marked Starrett right on the end there. So I believe this is a Starrett 268 V-block. So because it's just a lone V-block in that, and it had been just sitting there with a pile of junk, I asked him if he'd take $1 for it, and he said sure. So I got that for $1. And the last two items I got on this pick were this Starrett surface gauge. Somebody had put tape on the bottom of it. A lot of these aren't marked on the base. You can just tell it's a Starrett because of the design. And then it also has a rod that is clearly marked Starrett on it. So this one's actually in pretty nice shape. It's pretty clean. This is a big one. This is the largest of this series. I forget what the number is off the top of my head. I've got a few of these now. I'm going to have some kind of a sale on these, I guess. I'm going to have to clean that tape off. So normally I don't give like hardly anything for these anymore because I've got a few of them and they're not flying off the shelf. But when I asked the guy what he would take for this and this together, this is a Nsk Micrometer. You know, it says right on it, made in Japan. So this is actually decent quality for an import. And the other thing too is, you know, it says right on it, it's got tungsten carbide faces. Oh, and I don't know if you caught that, but the resolution is 0.0001. So this is a 1 to 2 inch micrometer with carbide faces. It's in excellent condition. It looks great. The friction thimble works. The lock works. Carbide faces look great. Comes with the 2 wrenches. Even comes with the standard. So this has got a lot going for it. And this was probably the deal of the day because he had $16 on this, and I got him to take $15 for the pair. I don't know, either I paid 10 for this and 5 for this, or vice versa. Either way you slice it, it's a heck of a deal. All right, so that's going to be a wrap for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing these flea market finds. And if you did, please hit the like button. And if you're not currently a subscriber, please consider subscribing. Take care.